Hey everyone, my name is Brianne Coolidge, and I am so beyond honored that I was asked to share my heart with you today about a topic that I've become widely passionate about, but is also one that I never thought that I would be part of, and that is being an entrepreneur and personal development and helping other people find their true self and find their true happiness. I say that I never wanted to be part of this, and I kind of describe my life as a series of never say nevers. I currently live in Wellsboro, Pennsylvania on a dairy farm with my husband and our three kiddos, and I was one of those girls. I went to Blossburg to North Penn High School that thought to be able to have big dreams and have a big impact, I needed to move to a big city. And so that was my goal. That was my plan. I went to Bucknell University in Lewisburg, and I was going to move to New York City with a couple of friends after I graduated. But God had different plans for sure. I met my husband at a local county fair, and we ended up settling right here in Wellsboro and starting our family. I ended up teaching for a few years. I went to school for education and psychology. I taught for a few years in the high school and then moved to the elementary school, and then we started having our own family. And that's when things kind of took a little bit of a shift. I found myself dealing with a lot of different health issues and just not being the best that I could be. And then my oldest daughter had an anaphylactic food response, and that just kind of set me into a tailspin. I was afraid to have her go to daycare. I was afraid to have her out of my sight. And so we decided that I would become a stay-at-home mom. It was scary. I didn't know how, without my teaching income and without my insurance, that we were going to make it work, but we knew that that's what we were being called to do. And so I turned in my resignation letter, and a week later, I found out that my son was on the way. So we were going to have health issues, 3 kiddos in 3 years, and 5 mouths to feed on just one salary. And we know in our culture that that's really hard. And so I decided that I was going to build a business on Etsy because it was something that I could do while I was home. I could work after the kiddos went to bed at night, and I did just that. Over the next couple of years, I built a vinyl business, cutting out vinyl decals for people, and we were doing really well with it. It was helping us to grow. It was helping us to pay bills and to groceries. But I was really lonely. I am an extrovert. I love being around people. And I was spending a ton of time in my basement by myself after the kids went to bed at night. And I just was not fulfilled. But I was also not looking to build another business until somebody came to me and they shared an opportunity with me to partner with a company that would help us with our health. And at first, that's all it was. It was just something that I knew that I needed because I still was not feeling well. I was tired of being in doctor's appointments, and I was also tired of seeing my daughter struggle. And so I joined this company, started ordering, and I found a way that I could help other people, that I could be a blessing to other people that were going through the same struggles. And little did I know that that opportunity was going to turn into so much more. It wasn't just ordering some products, it became helping other people. And then it became helping other people, not just with their health, but also with their finances and being able to grow teams and to be able to speak in group events. And it went from speaking to 5 or 10 people in my living room to speaking to 14,000 people last year in Las Vegas at the MGM Arena. I do not say that because I know more than the next person. I say that because I'm completely humbled by the opportunity that God has given us to take struggles and to take things that I never thought would be in our path and find true happiness in them, and to find the positivity out of sometimes what seems like the bleakest moments. And I know that so many of us are experiencing that right now with everything that's going on in the world. And so I just wanted to share my heart with you about a couple of things that I have found that are really super helpful for me. That when I got started with this, that were kind of like the key fundamental things that started me on my personal growth journey and stopped me looking left and right. Because I know that that was a huge part of this for me. And especially right now, so many of the people that I coach and that I help and that I talk to daily we're at home a lot right now. We're on social media, even when our lives are super crazy busy. We are on social media all the time. We see what this person is doing and what that person is doing. And we know that everybody has a chapter 1. We know that everybody has a chapter 5. We know that everybody has a chapter 20. And my chapter 1 or 5 or 20 is not going to look like your chapter 1 or 5 or 20, right? But it's still hard to not want it to be more, or to not look at somebody else and think, man, that person has this and that's what I want. And that comparison game can be really strong. I always tell people, I have this example. I used to not be able to exercise. One of my conditions was with my joints, and they would swell, and I couldn't even walk up and down stairs very well. And so one of my bestest friends in the entire world loves running and exercising, doing all the things. And so last year I took up running. I say running loosely. I took up running, and I remember just feeling really good one day, like just being on top of the world. I was running through town. I probably thought in my mind that I looked like an Olympic runner, just like pumping it. And then I saw her, this girl that was running, and she was pushing her kids through town, and she was super fast and just looked amazing. And immediately, what do? Right? We've all had this experience. What did I do? I was like, ooh, I shouldn't be doing this. I can't run. Like, I don't compare to her. Like, she's got X, Y, and Z. And then it kind of becomes this whole, I don't want to say self-pity party, but it is, right? Like we do the comparison game. I'm also really big on counseling, and I think that that's a lot of my psych background, but I was talking to my counselor about it, and she just said, you need to look at it and think, do you really want to put the time in to running like that? Because if you want to, you can. And it was the first time that I really stopped and thought about the fact that, you know what? I don't want to put the time in. And now that I know that that is not one of my passions, my passion is to not be the best runner in the world, or even just an amazing runner. I just like putting in my headphones and running, right? And as soon as I realized that that was not a passion of mine, then I could bless and release it. And even better than that, blessing and releasing and being okay with me, I could now celebrate her. I could celebrate the fact that she was killing it out there, right? Pushing multiple kiddos through town and looked amazing. And I can celebrate the fact that she's put time into that. So here's a couple of things that I do almost definitely weekly, but a couple of them I even do daily now. And I would love if this would help you guys to even hear back about this, just if it's something that's a blessing to you too. One of the very first things that I love, and I'm going to talk a lot about Mel Robbins. If you guys have not heard about her, she has a book that's called The 5-Second Rule, if you guys can see that. But she also, and I'm going to talk about the 5-second rule in just a minute, but she also has something that's called brain dumping that she talks a lot about. And I use this when I'm stressed. I use this when I find myself doing the comparison game. I do this a couple of different times. I do it at the beginning of every single month, and I do it on Sunday nights too. And here's what I do. Have you ever just felt like completely bogged down? All the things that you need to get done that's keeping you from really being happy and healthy and positive. You wake up in the morning and you're just like, man, I have to do X, Y, and Z, but then I really need to do P, Q, and R. Like there's all of these things, right, that you need to be doing in your day. I want you to take out a piece of paper and I want you to brain dump them, everything. Every single thing that you can think of that you need to do in your day, write it down on a piece of paper. If it's folding the laundry, if it's getting the dishes done, if it's whatever, making lunch, if you have to take your kid to a sporting event, if you have to pick them up from school that day, if you have to pack lunches, whatever it is, write it down. At the end of that brain dump, when you've just taken every single thing that you need to get done, then I want you to take out a highlighter and look back down through your list. And I want you to highlight the things that are your big rocks. The things that if you don't get done in that day will make a difference for you, right? Like if my kid has soccer practice and I don't take them to soccer practice, That's a big rock. That's something that's super important. Folding the socks, not a big rock. It's not going to make or break my day. But sometimes I'm so stressed out walking through my house that I feel like I have to get all of this stuff done. And at the end of the day, we lay down our heads at night and we think, man, I was busy all day today, but nothing moved my needle. I'm not happier. I didn't feel positive. I didn't get the things done that really would have made me fulfilled as a person, as a mom, as a friend. Those are the things that you highlight. And that is going to lead to so much more for you when you can take those big rocks, right? I think that sometimes, so often, what I find that I was doing and that what other people are doing is that we fill up our glasses. If you can imagine a vase, we fill it up with all the little things. We fill it up with sand first, the socks, the dishes. Not that those things aren't important, but we fill it up with all the little things, scrolling Facebook for hours and hours and hours. And then we'll move to things that are a little bit bigger, like cooking dinner. I mean, that's kind of important, right? But we fill it up then next with the medium-sized rocks or the pebbles. And then when we get to the end of the day, the things that are really important to us, that are going to make us feel better, there is no room, because now it's sand, and then there's little rocks, and then the big rocks can't fit down in, right? Whereas if we reverse it, and we put our big rocks in first, and then our pebbles, and then our sand, then there's room for everything. So once you do your brain dump, once you write down all the things that are really super important to you, then I want you to go back through and set up a routine. This has been key for me in being able to accomplish the things that I really want to do. Now, I don't know if you've studied personalities and color traits, but I'm a pretty blue personality, which means that I love to just be able to go and do things. I am very structured, but I also don't want to be by the book every single day. However, I know for me that now working out, getting the endorphins running, getting my dopamine dump in the morning and making me feel alive is super important to me. And what I was doing was that I was waking up and I was saying, oh, I'll work out later. But then what happens? We get to nighttime and I'm way too tired for it. So it just doesn't happen, even though we know it's something that's going to make us feel better. So take out a planner, those things that you highlight, put them in your day where you feel the most productive. I am more of a morning person. I can get more stuff done when my brain is like on fire than when I've dealt with kids and all the things all day. Then I try to do it at night. I'm not productive. For some people, it's the complete opposite. So find the parts of your day where you function best. And what I mean by this is if in the morning, so from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning, you are home, you are happiest, you are most productive, you shouldn't be folding socks from 8 to 10 in the morning, right? Sounds kind of silly, but you should be doing your most productive things then. Now, I want to tell you that you have enough time. I know what you're thinking. Your first thought is, no, I don't. I was there. The first time that somebody told me that I had enough time to do a couple extra things in my day, I won't tell you what I wanted to do. I did not believe them. But 24 hours in a day, right? Let's say that you spend 8 hours sleeping. You spend 8 hours at a full-time job. There's still 8 extra hours in a day to cook, to clean, to be present with your family, to do the things that fulfill your soul. And I am super passionate about this. When you do the things that fill your cup, then you can have your cup fill out and spread out or spill out to other people. When you are just depleting your cup all over the place, it is never full and it is never able to spill out to other people. It's just a cup that's got all these holes and you're trying to do way too much at all the times. I think that one of the biggest things that I have found is that I used to think that multitasking was like a badge of honor. I wanted to multitask all the time, get all the things done. It was like my brain had 72 tabs open all the time and I thought I was a hero for it. We're not. Our brains are not meant to multitask that way. And what ended up happening was I was doing all the things, but I was never present to anybody. And one of my friends told me that one time, that they didn't enjoy coming to my house and sitting because I was doing the dishes, or I was folding laundry, or I was doing something and never really spending time with them. And so think about that. Think about the things that you're doing in your day. And if you don't realize it, write it down. Do a brain dump at the end of the day and write down all of the things that you did that day and see if it was anything that really moved your needle. Did it move your needle with yourself? Do you feel better? Did it move your needle with your family, with your job, with your friends? Write down those big rocks, those things that are important to you. Because when you can spend your day doing something that you love, that you are passionate about, when you lay down your head at night, I promise you, it feels so much better. So map that stuff out. Whenever you are best in your day, take your planner. I should have brought mine in. I love passion planners because I can highlight all of the things. Like I go through at the end Sundays, I brain dump for the whole week. I write down everything that I need to do that week. I time block them all in. And then I put my big rocks, the things that help me, and it's not selfish. I used to think this too, that as a mom and as a business owner and as a friend and a daughter and a wife and all the things, that I had to fill up all that time with everybody else. Now I wake up first thing in the morning, I spend an hour working out because I know that I'm going to feel better. And if you're saying that working out makes you feel better, or spending 30 minutes in a devotion, or spending 30 minutes in a book, whatever those things are, time. You do. The biggest thing that I see people do with trying to fill their time blocks and make sure that they're getting up on time and going to bed on time at night is that you try to do all the things all at one time, and it doesn't work, right? This is not something that's going to split change for you tomorrow. So for instance, when I started this, I knew that I needed to wake up an hour earlier. I knew that I needed to not let my kids wake me up in the morning. They're 6.5, 8, and 10 now, and they're super early risers. I think that's part of being on a dairy farm. My husband leaves at 4, and the kids start usually waking up by 6:30. And so when they were in school every single day, I knew I needed to be up at 5 or 5:30. That didn't start in one day. I started in 10-minute increments, moving it back, making sure that I was getting up when I needed to get up. So write down those big rocks and time block out your day. Okay, that's routine, super, super helpful. The next thing, 5-second rule. Our brains are equipped to keep us safe, right? We don't love feeling anxious. Now, this is not saying that you shouldn't feel anxious before you're about to step into the woods in front of a grizzly bear, right? That is fight or flight or fear, right? You need to know that in that instance that you've got to do something to protect yourself. The 5-second rule takes that innate response to keep your body safe and to keep your mind protected, and it puts it into everyday situations. And so what Mel Robbins talks about is that innate response that you have 5 seconds. You have 5 seconds in the morning when your alarm goes off that you can either press it and think, okay, I'm going to sleep in. I'm not going to do this because I'm tired. I don't want to get up right now. 5 seconds to either make your move and get up out of bed, or to stay safe and press it and sleep more. Or if you have somebody that you really need to talk to about an opportunity, or seeing somebody new in a room that could change the trajectory of your life, right? You want to ask your boss about something that's going on, or you see somebody as an entrepreneur that you know would make a huge difference in your business, and you think 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm not going to talk to them. Because your body knows that innate response that it's a fear mechanism. It wants to keep you safe. However, if you're in that room and in that same 5 seconds, you start actively walking towards that person, then your body is knowing that it's something that's important. You have 5 seconds to make those decisions. And if you can train yourself, and I do this all the time now, When I know that there's something that's super important that is going to make it or break it for me, that it's either going to make me really, really happy, or it's just going to make me feel like, oh, I should have done that. I should have gone after that opportunity. I should have talked to that person. I should have done this with my kids. I should have gotten up earlier this morning. I 5-second rule it, and I start counting down. And it has made such a big difference in my life and in what I go after. And it's something that's so, so very simple. The other thing that I really wanted to mention to you guys today, and that I find it kind of goes back to that whole comparison thing that I talked about at the beginning, is knowing who you are. I think that so often I did this, and I see so many of the people that I work with, they crumble under the pressure of what everybody else wants them to be. And y'all, we can never be happy if we're crumbling under the pressure of what everybody else wants us to be. That is not happiness. That is not positivity. And that is not doing anyone else around us a service. Because when we can really step into our true calling, when we can really be ourselves, fill our days with the big rocks, set a routine that works best for us, go after things with the 5-second rule, that's when we are our best selves. And that's when we get to be our best selves for the people that are around us. And so one of the things that I found that was really, really helpful for me, and another book that I love, it's called Strength Finder 2.0. And this book changed so much for me. The premise of this is that we all have strengths, right? We know that. But I think that so often in our culture, what we end up doing is we think that we have these strengths, but we spend so much time trying to work on our weaknesses. Like we're not good at something, so we need to spend all of our time down here raising those things up. When if we spent time with our strengths and raised those things up and let somebody else that had those other strengths that are our weaknesses help us with those things, man, can the world change and things get done. So this whole book, there are multiple different strengths, but they rank you, and you can take free quizzes on this online or in this book. I think it's like $20 on Amazon right now. It comes with a quiz you can take, but there are free quizzes. I'm not saying you need to run out and buy anything, but you can take this, and it arranges your strengths. So your top 5 strengths. And what I love about this is that they've actually done statistics, and they've shown that your top 5 strengths to be completely matched with someone else, it is a chance or odds of 1 in 33 million. I mean, that gives me chills and makes me feel so alive. God made me for a purpose, right? He gave me a certain set of strengths that 1 in 33 million people. So what are the odds that they're right here in this community? I get to bring so much to the table. And when I focus on those strengths, I can help other people, because guaranteed most of them, and we've done this with a lot of my good friends, they don't have the same strengths as I do. So I can pull from their strengths and they can pull from my strengths, and we both get to shine, and we both get to be who we were meant to be. And at the end of the day, when you have stepped into those things that make you you, when you've stepped into your passions and you're fulfilling those big rocks and you're getting the things done that need to get done. Now, are there times when I have to do things that I don't love doing? Absolutely. That's not what this is about, right? But I used to spend so much of my day trying to get those other things done so that it looked good or that it was a certain way. And now I get to have other people help me with those things, and I can help them with the things that are my passions and that fulfill me and that are my strengths. And that's what I want for everyone. No matter where you are, no matter what profession you are in or what industry you're in, you can bring so much to the table. And when you're doing the things that you love, I'm in the moments now. That is something that I could not say 4 years ago, before I started all of this and before I really started owning what I wanted to do and stepping into those things. I was not present in the way that I wanted to be for my kids. I was not present in the way that I wanted to be for my business and fulfilling the passions that I have for this life. Y'all, we know time goes way too quick to be anything but happy. And it's easy to say that stuff, right? And sometimes we can look at somebody else and be like, oh, well, that girl has it all together. Or that person, of course they're happy. They have X, Y, and Z. I don't have that. I can't be happy. That is not the case. And I firmly believe that. I think that every single one of us gets to wake up every single day and decide the outlook. My kids preach that back to me now because that's one of the biggest things that I say. We cannot control our surroundings, especially right now, right? We cannot control what's happening in the world around us. We can contribute to a solution, but I can always control how I respond to it. And putting those things into implementation every single day, brain dumping, when I get stressed out and I feel completely overwhelmed, I write it down. And then I highlight the things that I'm in control of. And it has changed everything for me. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that it was a couple of tips and strategies that you guys can use too and implement in your day and be the best you that you can be for yourself and for the people around you. Thanks, everybody.